In the latest episode of our series, we talked about how birds are actually descendants of dinosaurs. But before our feathered friends took to the skies, there was an asteroid, a mass extinction, and a whole lot of death. It's not exactly a great time to be alive if you're a non-avian dinosaur. But hey, it's an awesome time to be alive if you're a fan of dramatic events in Earth's history. And I am totally that kind of fan. So let's talk about Dino Apocalypse. Okay, now some quick warnings. First, when we say dinosaurs, we're referring to all dinosaurs, not just the big meat eaters and plant eaters like Tyrannosaurus rex and Brachiosaurus. We're talking about birds too. Second, the asteroid isn't entirely to blame for the extinction of dinosaurs. It's more like the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. There were lots of other factors that made life on Earth pretty dicey for dinosaurs during the late Cretaceous period, like massive volcanic eruptions, changing sea levels, and a warming climate. But the asteroid, also known as the Chicxulub impact event, was definitely the nail in the coffin. So let's get into it. About 66 million years ago, the late Cretaceous period was in full swing. Flowering plants or angiosperms were on every continent and had become a major food source for the first primates. Also, the first true whales had just evolved and were swimming around. Meanwhile, on land, the last of the dinosaurs were hanging out in what is today North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. In North America, this included the likes of Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, and, yes, Tyrannosaurus rex. But their reign atop the food chain wouldn't last much longer. About 66 million years ago, the Earth was struck by an asteroid or a comet. These are referred to as impact events, which is different from an impactor like a meteorite that doesn't originate in space. This one did. Asteroid impact events are rare. In fact, it's been suggested that up until the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, there was only one significant impact event for every 1 million years or so. That said, small asteroids hit Earth all the time. Most of them burn up in the atmosphere before they can do any damage. The one that marked the end of the dinosaurs wasn't small. It was estimated to be about 6 miles or 10 kilometers in diameter. The asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula in what is now Mexico at about 43,000 miles per hour or 70,000 kilometers per hour. For comparison, that's about 30 times faster than a bullet. The energy released by the impact was about 100 trillion joules. For comparison, the largest nuclear weapon ever detonated on Earth was about 2 million joules. If you stood next to that asteroid when it hit, you would be vaporized. If you were a little further away, you'd be thrown into the air by the explosion and burned to death. No matter where you were when the asteroid hit, you'd die. Let's take a closer look at what happened right after the asteroid hit. The impact left a crater, now known as the Chicxulub crater. It was named after the local fishing village. Chicxulub, like all impact craters, has a distinctive raised rim and a central peak. The asteroid had such a tremendous impact that the rock beneath it turned to vapor and was blasted upwards. Some of that vaporized rock reached an altitude of over 300 miles or 500 kilometers. It's estimated that 3 to 4 trillion tons of rock were ejected from the crater. That's not even the worst of it. The asteroid impact also triggered massive earthquakes around the globe. Then came the tsunamis. The waves generated by the impact were over 100 feet or 30 meters high. They crashed into coastal areas all over the world within minutes, inundating everything in sight. But most of the water from the tsunami evaporated due to the heat generated by the impact. That's actually how we know that tsunamis were generated by the impact. Marine fossils found inland show that the water that flooded the area was most likely seawater. After the dust settled and the coasts were inundated, the fires began. All those dead trees and fossil fuels were bound to catch fire. At this point, almost every living thing near the impact site was dead. It was so hot that all the unburnt wood was charred black. But that's not because the wood itself caught fire. Instead, the wood turned black because of all the smoke in the air. The asteroid impact kicked up so much debris into the atmosphere that light couldn't penetrate all the way through. It was pitch black for weeks. If you were alive at that point, you'd have no idea that summer had begun. It was cold and dark everywhere. And to top it all off, it was raining. Not just raining, torrential downpour for months on end. The rain was acidic and burned everything in sight. Acid rain still kills dinosaurs. Even if you managed to survive the asteroid impact, the earthquakes, the tsunami, the fires, and the acid rain, you probably died soon after from lack of food. Plants were completely wiped out in some areas. Even where they weren't, the soil was so hot that nothing could grow on it. If you were a herbivorous dinosaur, you were screwed. And if you were a carnivorous dinosaur, you were even more screwed because all the herbivores were dead. It's estimated that 75% of all species on Earth were killed by the asteroid impact. Many scientists believe that small mammals survived by retreating underground. As for the ancestors of modern birds, they were flying around, but probably didn't fare much better than the other dinosaurs. Yet somehow they survived. Maybe they hid in caves. Or maybe they just flew really far away. Either way, they're the reason why we have birds today. So thank an asteroid. So I hope you enjoyed this installment of SCI, Show News, and thank you for joining me to learn about all the amazing ways that the world could end. Until next time, remember, the world probably won't end tomorrow, but if it does, don't forget to look both ways before you cross the street.